Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to renovate an old metal miniature.
If I die in a combat zone, lock me up and ship me home. Locks me up and ship me home.
Games Workshop has been producing Warhammer 40,000 miniatures for decades. And in the early days, a lot of them were made out of metal. I started painting when I was 10, so back in 1994, and look at some of these miniatures brings back some really nice childhood memories. The internet now is a treasure trove of these relics, and places like eBay have got numerous on offer. I think they represent a really interesting chance to kitbash some models, make them look quite interesting and unique on the tabletop. But that being said, they obviously look quite dated versus the plastic models of today with their advances in manufacturing technology. I think personally what makes them look so dated is the weaponry. Models like Astra Militarum, where the shape is a human form, is quite timeless. Obviously the geometry doesn't change. It's very different for say models like Space Marines or I guess like Eldar. So when you choose a model to renovate, make sure it's one where you can easily remove the weapons. Like this Commissar that cost me £8 on eBay. And as you can see, the hand flamer looks quite cartoonish, and his axe looks like it belongs to an orc from the old school Age of Sigmar. So let's get started. So first place to start will be stripping the paint. You can see the previous owner of this Commissar applied a very thick paint job. And I used methylated spirits to remove this paint. You can use a variety of other chemicals, but I prefer metho because it's quite fast acting. A huge downside is just how toxic it is. So when you use it, make sure you do it somewhere well ventilated, preferably outside, and also wear gloves. And it's best to get scrubbing after about probably 10 minutes of soaking in methylated spirits. For stubborn parts which will be stuck in, say, all the detail, you can use a toothpick or the tip of your hobby knife to carefully pick out any stuck paint. So with the paint stripped, check for any mold lines, just like any other model. And there are often extra pieces of metal hanging off their feet. There's like these little bits dangling off that have to be snapped off. The mold lines can be quite stubborn to remove on metal, so use a combination of your hobby knife and also a file. And you can see the way that it's mounted in the base, there's a huge gap. So make sure you fill in that gap with green stuff or even a bit of blue tack if you're on a budget or can't find green stuff. And obviously, if well, always use super glue, not plastic cement when working with metal models. So now on to kit bashing. I'll replace his hand flamer with a plasma pistol taken from the Acadian Command Squad kit. His axe is replaced by a Space Marine power axe that I bought from eBay. Removing the axe was straightforward, but unlike working with plastic, you can't use a blade or a pair of pliers and you wanted a hobby saw. The one from Gamesworkshop is actually really good. I cut through the axe and carefully chose on both the metal part and the plastic part at 2 points so when they're glued together it looks very natural. After cutting with a saw, I filed both pieces to make sure it was a nice flat finish to make it easy to glue. Removing the hand flamer, however, is actually a bit more challenging. Because of the rear of the weapon sitting on top of his sleeve, I had to basically firstly chop off the front of the weapon, carefully preserving his closed hand, and actually using a file to make sure his knuckles are nice and smooth. I then had to cut horizontally across the top of his fist, and using a file once again, making sure it's a flat finish so when the plasma pistol is good and placed, it sits nice and flush. With the plasma pistol, do be careful to preserve the trigger guard, unlike what I did, because if you keep the trigger guard, it glues in quite nicely to the fist and looks very natural as per the plastic models. Lastly, removing the piece which is on top of his sleeve, I again use the saw and the file to produce a nice flat finish. I'm definitely not going to say it's an easy process working with metal models, but I think it's a great challenge, and when you see him finished, hopefully you agree it was definitely worth the effort. Right, so there he is, all painted and based up ready for the tabletop. As you can see, the plasma pistol and power axe really helped to modernise this miniature. As he rotates around, you'll notice on his waist, I glued on some frag grenades from the Acadian infantry kit and also some pouches I took from the Tempestus Scion kit. A key tip when painting metal minis is to varnish them after. I find that metal minis chip much easier than plastic ones, and I use Citadel Technical Storm Shield to protect metal minis. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I've inspired you to try renovating some old metal minis. And given COVID and Games Workshop factory is shut, think that's a good chance to try something different while stocks are running out. So please comment, like, press subscribe and share, as this really helps me in the early days of building my channel. I cover all aspects of the hobby, from hobby basics, mini assembly, kitbash conversions, painting and tabletop tactics. So thanks for watching and see you next time.